is right now in Central Visayas because we're seeing a rise in the number of infections, mostly in Cebu City, which will remain under enhanced community quarantine according to the Interagency Task Force. Well, the highly urbanized cities of Lapu-Lapu and Mandaue in Cebu province also want to stay under lockdown, and they fear a second wave of infections in their areas. And given the rising number of cases, what is the game plan of local officials to help control this virus? We hear now from Kenneth Cobonpue, Chair of the Regional Development Council in Central Visayas. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us. So how are Mandaue, Lapu-Lapu, and Cebu City planning to fight this COVID health crisis with the number of infections continuing to rise?
Hello, Rico. We have a program, both from the private and the public sector. We're coming together to have this program called the Project Balik Buhay. And it's testing. It's a form of rapid testing where the private companies test their employees as a condition for opening up again, and the LGUs test their constituents at the barangay level. So we're going to test about 46,000 to 50,000 people. That's about 10% of all the households in Cebu, Visayas, and Mandaue. And we've started for about 7 days now.
So you think, Kenneth, 46 to 50,000 tests is a safe number that will give the three cities confidence that it's time to shift from ECQ to modified ECQ or even GCQ?
Yes, well, that's actually about 3% of the population, more than the 1% required by the World Health Organization. And I don't think there's any other LGU doing this massive testing right now. So we're using a combination of RT-PCR and rapid antibody tests. And so in about a week's time, I think we would have done about 50,000 tests, enough to make a decision whether we should go from ECQ to GCQ. And I think it's wise that our LGUs, together with the Office of the Presidential Assistant for the Visayas, use a calibrated and scientific evidence-based testing in order to decide whether we can lift the ECQ.
Well, because, Kenneth, the majority of cases that have a high number of positive results are concentrated in the lowland barangays where most of the economic, industrial, and commercial activities are taking place.
Yes, that is right. And that's because of the density of these areas, of course. So we're doing this testing between Cebu, Mandaue, and Lapu-Lapu. And now we're still doing testing in the public sector, but we're going to do also testing next in the private sector. And what's going to happen is each employee that gets tested gets a worker's pass, and that allows him to pass through these three cities unhindered.
And that is a short-term plan. What is the medium to long-term plan of this Balik Buhay project until a vaccine is found?
So all the private companies here, all the business groups, we've come together and we've agreed to follow a protocol, a workplace manual where we follow health standards, which are subject to audit by our LGUs. And we would be testing also our employees on a regular basis. And we submit to our respective LGUs a letter of undertaking, including the requirement that we appoint a health officer to make sure, a health officer for each company to make sure that all of us follow this new set of rules.
And personally, Kenneth, you are an industrial designer that manufactures world-class furnitures, among other things. How is your business coping with this COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, these days, I think I'm more full-time regional development council head and part-time furniture designer. But yeah, we're still working. We still have orders. I think when everybody sits in their home, they find something missing and they want to order that chair. And so we're fortunate that we still have orders coming in. It's getting very hard to work on them and ship them on time because, of course, of problems with transport and all the border controls. But we're coping.
Thank you so much for joining us, and the best of luck with your testing. Kenneth Cobonpue, Chair of the Regional Development Council in Central Visayas. We'll be taking the short